So again, we're going to talk about going from Illustrator to After Effects and animating some of the pieces. So if we look at our file, hopefully it opens up here. I've been trying to open it here. Okay. So what we have right now is a graphic that has been done inside of Illustrator. Some of the things to consider when you're looking at the graphic is position. To build this file, how I started it was by going under File, New, and I started with, again, it's 1920 px by 1080 px. That's what I started with, okay? And that's where you see the artboard. See the black line? Then what I did was I made a background using the blending modes. I could make a nice smooth background, but I wanted it to be a little bit different, so I used blending modes to make a background. I blended from one line to the other line, from that line to this line, from this line to this line, and I made a background, and I kind of locked it. Next, I had put on the West Valley logo. Then I put on the digital media text for the logo, and then you'll notice that it says DM logo shape. Do you see this one called DM logo shape? We're going to animate this one. Okay, we're going to animate this one. So that's why it's a separate file. Anything that you want to move, put on a separate layer. Anything you want to move, you put on a separate layer so that you can animate it. Okay. Then we have class info and digital drawing class. Okay, those I was going to have them animate, but probably not. I'm just going to have them sit there. Maybe we'll have them fade on. Maybe I'll have them fade on. Then you'll notice that you have some artwork. You'll see I have some text and some artwork. Okay, some text and some artwork. Some text and some artwork. And some text and some artwork. Okay, so everything's on a separate layer because what we'll do is we'll have the artwork come flying in off the screen. Will fly in. Then we'll have the text animate on. We'll do it once for one set of images and text. We'll animate the text and we'll move the image. And once we're done with that, we can copy those effects that we did and put it onto another one. That way you don't have to do it over and over again. So in production, a lot of what I do is I try and reuse things I've already done. Right? If I animate the text one way, and hey, it looks cool. I like the way the text animated. You can copy that effect and then put it on some other text, hey, without having to redo it all from scratch. Yes? What's that? No, this is not for, this is for video. So it looks like it's PowerPoint size, right? But no, this is 1920 by 1080. That is the high definition monitor. So does everybody see the different? So the important thing you need to know, of course, is alignment. You'll see that I use some guidelines maybe to align things. Keeping content together, that's important. Logo, text. Notice how there's things on top of each other. That's okay. And if you build something like this ahead of time, you can animate that in Flash. We can animate this in Flash, or we can animate this in After Effects. We can animate this in Photoshop if you want, very easily. Okay. Now the reason why they probably don't add animation capabilities to Illustrator is because you can do it so much easier importing it into something like After Effects. Okay, so you ready to try? Let's try. So again, I'm going to quit Illustrator. You see what it looks like. I don't know, did I make any changes? I don't know if I made any changes. I don't think I did. And I'm going to open up After Effects so you can see how the program works with an Illustrator file. To open up After Effects, if I go under my hard drive, go under Applications, you'll notice there is a there is a whole list of the Adobe products. One of the Adobe products is called After Effects CC. After Effects CC. If you double click on it, it'll start the application. Again, this is a motion graphics application. Adobe purchased After Effects almost 20 years ago. They bought After Effects from a company called Cosa. In fact, it was about 20 years. It was probably 97, 96, I think. Maybe even a little bit earlier. Somewhere around there is when they purchased After Effects from a company called Cosa. Cosa stood for Science and Engineering, Science and Art. I don't remember. But I got it right in the trivia question. They gave me a free t-shirt. I was at an Adobe seminar. I raised my hand. The question was, what company did Adobe buy After Effects from? And I'm like, I was the only one with my hand raised. I was the only one who knew the answer. I won a free t-shirt. Anybody find the program? You can close that if you want. How this program works is you will have your artwork over here. Then you'll have your artwork down here. Then you'll have a timeline over here. And then you'll see your thumbnail or your preview here. So how it works is that we will be mostly working down here, and this will be moments in time, and then you'll see it happening over here. To use this program, we're going to import our Illustrator file as a composition. I think I explained that already, as a composition. So to bring it in, I'm going to go under File, Import. I'm going to say Import File. File, Import File. I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to find that Illustrator file that I've already made. Down here where it says Import As, I'm going to change it to Composition. Composition. I don't think I need composition retain layer sizes. I'm not sure if I need that. And we're not using a sequence. You could use Illustrator to make an animated sequence where, if you think about it, you ever watch Disney or any of that, where you can actually have a drawing of a character that has their arms or legs in different positions, and you can bring it into this program as what we call a sequence, where instead of putting them on top of each other, it puts it down the timeline so that they're all moving. Do you remember the wheel moving that we did that one time with the wheel moving? That would be kind of a sequence where you could actually have multiple positions. I could show you that maybe some other day. So let's hit open. It's going to bring in our Illustrator composition. You should see over here in the corner a little kind of icon that looks like a square, triangle, and thing, and I'm going to double click on that. Let me move my window a little bit here. One thing about After Effects, it thinks I have a bigger monitor. This is a really fun application once you learn how to use it. Again, how I got to this position, what you're looking at now, is after I imported it as a composition, I double-clicked on that, and this is what I got. Again, you'll notice all the layers that I had, and notice how I named the layers so that I could see the names inside of After Effects. You can see them. These are the same names I used inside of Illustrator. First thing you want to do is kind of make a decision on how long you want your video to be or your animation to be. You can do that underneath the composition settings. So if we want to make, let's say, 30 seconds. I like to do stuff nice and even, like 30 seconds or 60 seconds or 10 seconds or 20 seconds, so that when I'm moving and animating things, I do them in even numbers, right? That way it's easy for me to calculate from one to the other to the other. If you start doing things with odd numbers, and it tends to be confusing. So I'm going to go under composition settings, and I'm going to change it to 30. Oh, it's already at 30 seconds. See it right there? But this is where you would change the time. I'm not going to change it now. It's already there at 30 seconds. Imagine that. What's that? Duration, yeah. If you, this is what's called time code. In time code, you got 30 here. This is seconds. This is frames. There's 30 frames a second. So this is 0, 0 right now because it's starting at goes to 30 seconds with 0 frames. So you notice it starts at 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It ends at, this is hours, minutes, seconds, frames. That's how you can read that. You'll notice it's full resolution, square pixels, and 29.97 is the frame rate. It's just standard video frame rate. I'm going to hit OK. It's already at the time I want, so I'm not going to worry about it. You might have to scroll at the bottom to get to all the 30 seconds. You'll see down here there's a way to scroll, and then there's a way to see more and see less down here. And when we start building things, you'll see more and see less. So there's ways of zooming down here. This is a zoom, and then you might need to scroll to get. So this is moments in time. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the eyeballs of all the artwork I'm not going to work with first. I tend to work with the stuff first. So right now, if you come over here, you'll notice the eyeballs are all turned off. I'm going to turn off the eyeballs for the artwork there. And I'm going to work primarily with the logo right now. So again, I turned off the eyeballs of there. If you look, there's eyeballs. You can turn them on. You can turn them off. Turn them on. Turn them off. Turn them on. Turn them off. Those eyeballs will show and hide something. So things I'm not working with, I kind of hide, so it's not distracting. Let's animate this text first, this one right here that says digital drawing class, as well as let's animate the logo first. Let's animate this red logo. See the red logo right here? What I want to do with that red logo, if you go down, you'll notice there's one that says DM logo shape. You might see one that says DM logo shape down here in the lower left corner. Notice from the eyeball over, you'll notice there's a couple options, and then there's a triangle. I'm going to turn that triangle down. Inside that triangle, you'll notice there is a transformation option. In that transformation option, I'm going to turn that triangle down. Once I turn that triangle down, you'll notice I have options that I can do to adjust my artwork. When I adjust my artwork, I have things like anchor points, position, scale, and things like that. If I hit anchor point, you'll notice right now there's a problem. The problem with the anchor point is that it's in the center of the artwork. If I was going to rotate this, and don't do this, I'm just trying to show you some stuff right this moment. You don't have to do this, just listen. If I try and rotate my artwork, you'll notice it's rotating around the actual center point of the image. See that? Okay, I think you might have seen that when we were rotating something inside of Flash. Okay, so I don't want to rotate it around the center here. I want to rotate it around the center of my artwork right here. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to have this logo kind of spin and fly in. That's the first thing I want to happen in my animation. So what I want to do is I want to move my anchor point. You can put your cursors over top of, and any of these Adobe products, you can put your cursor over top of the numbers, and your hand, the cursor will change into a hand. Okay, in doing so, you can then move things around, and I'm going to move it around till it's in the center here. I'm just moving the numbers around till my artwork goes in the center. There's probably an easier way of doing it. It's been a while since I've used it. So, in doing so, I can then rotate my object around like that. So again, you can actually just drag. If you click on the one that says anchor point, you can actually move your piece, and I'm going to move it back up over here after I moved it. Okay, I'll do that again. Let me undo that so you can see how I moved it. Woo, I did. It took me a while to do this. Hold on, I'm going to start over. Okay, here it is. So what I want is the anchor point. I think there's probably a way to get the anchor point to be in the center of the artwork. Probably a keyboard command. No, it's not that. I don't know. What I want is I want this anchor point to be in the center of this artwork somehow. There's got to be a way of redoing it. I don't know. But in this case, I can move these numbers. Like I said, I can move these numbers so that the artwork can be put there in front of there. And once I'm done moving my artwork around by adjusting the numbers here, I can then take it, click on the word anchor point, and move it all the way up into the corner, back up where it should be. And then it'll start rotating now around this area. See if you can make that happen. Now when I animate, I always animate backwards. I know I want the artwork to end here, but I don't know where I want it to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be adjusting the scale, rotation, and opacity. So I'm going to click on what's called the stopwatch. There's something called a stopwatch right here. And if you notice it, there's a stopwatch for scale, a stopwatch for rotation, and a stopwatch for opacity. So if I click on all three of these, it'll put what's called a keyframe or a little diamond over here. Okay? So what I want is I want the logo to come flying in and stopping where it's at. So right now I started a point at the very beginning. You'll notice over here in the timeline right here, I have a current time indicator. I put boom, boom, boom. I'm going to move the playhead over to about 1 second. How do I know it's 1 second? If I look over here, you'll notice there is a 1 right here. See how it says 01, 00 right here? 01. So moving this, see this thing is called the playhead. I'm going to move it over to about 1 second, and then I'm going to click the diamonds that are over here. There's some diamonds right here. These diamonds represent keyframes over here. So what I have right now is I have diamond, 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 diamond. So they're all in the same position, but what I want to do is I want to alter the first ones so that they're large, transparent, and rotated. How do I do that? Well, I can move this playhead back to the 0, 0 position, back to the 0, 0 position. I can scale my object up. Uh-oh, it still doesn't look vector. We're going to have to tell it to be vector. We're going to have to tell it to be vector. It's okay. You'll get there. There it is. It's this option right here. Remember I told you about it staying vector? There's a little option right here. It looks like a clog wheel. So when I scale it, it scales it really big. See how it's scaling it really big? Uh-oh, my position. I don't want to do that. Scale it really big. I want it to rotate maybe about 4 times. So I'm going to put a 4 in. Again, I'm at the very first position. And then I'm going to tell the opacity to be kind of transparent when it starts. Not all the way, maybe a little bit. So by setting diamonds here, and altering the effects right here, that's why it's called After Effects, altering the effects here, I can have an animation and we can see what it looks like by using a preview. I'd probably do it faster. And notice how it's not in the center. Kind of wobbles a little bit. Might be easier to adjust your anchor point better. Oops, I didn't want to do whatever I just did. Let me adjust my anchor point a little bit better. You can zoom in if you need to zoom in. There's a zoom somewhere. There's a zoom somewhere. I can't tell where it's at.
You can just roll your mouse wheel.
It's not working for me. That's okay. I think I can adjust it. So I'm going to adjust this center point a little bit better. There we go. So if you hit spacebar, it'll give you, still not quite in the center all the way, but that's okay. So again, you can see you can animate the pieces like that. Again, to get your vector is this option right here, this thing right here. It's called continuous raster. So see if you could try that. I'll come and help you. Again, just typing the text in. See the text right here where it says text tool? Just typing the text in here. You can change the font. You change the size. And then so I guess if you use the text that's inside of After Effects, then we could probably use those presets. So again, this is the text tool right here. See it right here, text tool, and I type some text in right there. And since I've typed in the text tool right there, I can then use the text effects that's over here. See the text effect? And let me try one. What was the one I was going to try? Animate in. Fly in with a twist? No, it was spin characters in. There it is. If you don't like the effect, you can undo that. Let's try a different one. Smooth move in. Slow fade on. How about that? That's kind of interesting. That's better. So again, I must not be able to translate the text from Illustrator to After Effects. I thought the text would translate the text. I thought it would just come in as text, but it looks like it brought each piece in as a sample. So I typed some text in, and then I applied one of these effects, and this is what I got. See how it fades in? So you might want to try that again. I typed text in using the text tool right here. Then I went to the presets over here and I applied one of those. Next thing I was going to do is bring a poster in. This poster right here. I can also use the animation presets for this poster. Using one of the presets. There's a whole bunch of them over here. Again, the one I'm using for this image, I'm going to click on the image, the art poster, the art portrait, There's a variety of them over here for animation presets. And there's utilities, let's see, flip, flop, crop edges. No. There's the image effects, bad TV. Ooh, I like that one. Let's see. What do we want? We want animation preset. Transition movement. How about that? We want to slide, fly to inset. So I'm going to try some of these presets over here. Again, to use the preset, I'm just going to zoom wobbling. I don't know, let's try it. Zoom wobbling. Well, that's kind of interesting. If you don't want things to happen at the same time, you could move the gray bar down here inside of the gray bar down here. What I mean by that is you'll notice the logo comes spinning in, the text goes fading on, and the picture comes flipping in all at the same time. But I want the picture to flip in after the logo comes on and this text comes on. I want it to flip in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the gray bar that's down here and I'm going to click on it and I'm going to move it over. You notice how I can just drag it. Look how I'm dragging it in the timeline here. I'm going to move it over in time so that it starts a little bit later. So the logo comes in, the text comes on, and then the artwork comes flying in. Did you see that? And then the word portrait, I'm going to have that come pop on afterwards. We could probably have it fade on too. Or we could add an effect to that. Let's say we want it to stretch and blur. Oh, it didn't work, did it? How do I stretch and blur? How about slide swoosh? Let me try that. Oh, that comes flying in. That's kind of cool. So again, I'm going to hit the space bar. That comes spinning in. Oh, that looks pretty good. Did you see that? Watch. We got that logo come in. So that was called slide swoosh. Again, you don't have to have everything starting at the beginning. You can move the bars a little bit in there. If I hit space bar now, that comes flying in. That comes in. And this fades on. So I would probably go through and just keep doing that. Also, I don't want this portrait. I want this portrait to come on for a little bit, have somebody look at it, and then fly off. So I want it to, like, not fly off, but just go away. So to get it to go away kind of is the same thing that you could do. Remember how we had the moment in time here where we wanted to just start a little bit later? But you can also do what's called in and out points inside this program where you change where it starts and where it ends. If I put my cursor at the very end of the bar, notice I'm at number 30. So if I move this little zoom factor right here, if I move it all the way to the left side, I can put my cursor all the way to the right side, and I can click and drag. And what I'm doing is I'm altering when it ends, and I'm going to drag this all the way kind of over here maybe. So the text will be gone. It'll just pop off. Do you see that? I'm going to do the same thing again for the portrait. I'm going to put my cursor along the edge here. I'm going to drag it kind of short like that, and then maybe put it on like this and line it up so they both go away at the same time. So again, it's going to come flying on like that, and it's going to stay on there for a little bit, and then it's going to go away. And then I'll have something else come on. In fact, what I could do is I could probably copy that effect, but you know, that's kind of boring to have the same effect. So I might do the same thing for the ones that are above. I have another piece of artwork, right? I have another piece of artwork and another thing of text. And again, I'm going to have them change a little bit in time afterwards. Notice how I'm moving things around. So after that one's done, I'm going to move it around in timeline. Again, here I'm in the timeline down here. I can drag the left side or right side here so it ends shorter. And notice how I have a little gray bar. That little gray bar then will indicate how long the artwork is on the screen. So after I put that on, I can apply another effect to it. Let's see, we want, how about a 3D tumble in for the artwork? Let's see if that works. Oh, it starts at the beginning, that's the problem. Let me undo that. I think you need to apply the animation here to the actual option here, no? Oh, that's the text that I'm applying it to, that's the reason why. I want to do the 3D tumble in. Or how about bubble? Zoom bubble. Let's try that for the artwork. I'm going to drag it down here. Ooh, that's kind of cool. And then maybe have the text stretch in. So again, I have that zoom in. That stays on the screen for a little bit. Then I have this text come bubbling in like that. That stays on the screen for a little bit. And you just keep going like that, just, you know, again, changing the in and out points. As you can see, you can alter. So it's only on the screen for a little bit of time, and you can grab your preset animation and drag it right on top of there, and it'll apply it to your artwork. And so you can really get some quick, that you notice the most important thing was preparing everything inside of Illustrator ahead of time. And you can bring in audio if you want. You can bring in, I think there was a soundtrack. I can bring in that Sister Savior song that I like so much, and I can to put the sound in there. You just drag it from the import it in, and just drag it down here to the composition down towards the bottom here, and it'll put the sound in there. And then if you hit RAM preview, you'll hear it with the music. If you hit what's called RAM preview, you'll hear it with the music. So if you bring in the music, you just drag it from here down. If you import the music, you drag it from here down here. Then to see the animation with the music, you go underneath RAM preview, which is underneath composition preview, RAM preview. And if you do that, oh, let's put our playhead back at the very beginning. If you go under, again, composition, preview, RAM preview, it should render it all, and then you'll have the music with it. It's calculating or crashing, one of the two. Here it goes. So it'd be best to try and get this stuff to pop to the music. So I like when it starts pounding the music right about here. So if you remember, I did the in and out points to the pictures, right? Remember I did the in and out points to the picture? You can do the same thing with the music. I can say, oh, I like the music starting here, but not here at the beginning. I can actually drag the in point of the music over to that spot right there. And then I can drag the music all the way back to the very beginning like that. And so the music will start here instead of at the very beginning. Just like I did with the artwork. If you remember, I dragged the artwork in and out. So let me try that again. That's a little better. So you would just go through and as you can see, I would just keep altering and adding. So, you know, if you can build something in Illustrator with all these different layers, you can really bring it into this program and start moving each piece separately. It makes for